Okay.
That's an interesting story. I don't know how they made that.
Are we ready? Okay. All right, well, I was able to go to Batini, Kenya again this year, and I brought some things to show you, and I have some things to talk to you about. I thought, well, I forgot to ask you, Alicia, do you have any maps? I told her, like, things. Yeah. If you want to bring one down.
What do you want? What you want?
Like
world map?
Yeah, world
atlas.
Atlas. Atlas would be best, probably.
Okay, I have to go find them. They're right in the resource table. What are you talking about?
All right, so I'll start with my objects while we wait for her to come back. This was given to me last year at the church in Kwasonge. This was handmade by the woman that gave it to me. And it is a basket, but it's collapsible. And we were told that the way that they'll carry this is to put their load in like this and support it on their neck and carry it like this. And so she only gave these to the married women, which last year was Kim and myself, because they have the idea that if you're not married, you're unable to carry a heavy load.
Oh.
So I'm not really sure
back.
what the difference with that is, but...
We'll have to glorify it.
This is a gourd of some kind that when they dry it and hollow it out, it would be used like a bowl to feed, like put porridge or something in here. And then this design was added, and then they put a string so that they can hang it up in their hut or their house. Now,
can you boil water or anything, like put it on top of?
This is actually very fragile.
Oh, okay.
If dropped on a hard surface, this will crack and this will break.
So is that what they eat out of all the time?
No.
Or they have actual dishes?
If they're so poor that they can't buy, like if they can't afford 10 shillings to get a bowl in town, or if they have so many children they can't afford them, then this is what they'll use. But if they have dishes. They can go to town and buy dishes.
So they use biblical money, shillings, as...
It's actually British inspired.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but...
This necklace was also handmade and given to me by a woman at the church in Kavetta. And I did not go to that church last year. So the woman there, she actually brought 3 of these to give to... She gave them to Hannah. And then Hannah had one, no, she made 4 of them, and Hannah gave them to Esther and Kim and myself. So this was handmade by that woman. And over there, they think, these people in the churches that give you a gift, they think, they'll say to you, it's not very much, but I have this to give you. And I told them this year, I said, this is so neat to me. Like, you think it's nothing, but this is an incredible gift to me. And this is a basket that is also handmade. Pretty much most of the things over there are. And this was given to me by Esther and Jadida last year. So I'm not sure where they got it or who made it. And this is a basket that we traveled to somewhere called Sekuru this year. And that is spelled T-S-E-I-K-U-R-U. And when we were there, we went to town, and I was able to find these in a shop, and this was 80 shillings, which is almost like 80 cents, almost. So really cheap, and this was handmade, not in that place, but somewhere else within Kenya.
Do they want you to pay with shillings? Or
Yeah, you can't buy anything in dollars. Maybe in Nairobi you can, but not if you go travel somewhere else.
So when you get to Nairobi, is that when you do your exchange?
You exchange your money there, yeah. This is a carving that Esther gave to me last year before I knew that I was going, and she told me that there's people in the area where they live who want to help give support for the orphans, but they don't have much money themselves. And so if they have a craft where they can do something like make necklaces or baskets or carvings, they will sometimes give these to her so she can bring them back and sell them or give them away and get donations to get money to support the orphans. So I think that's a neat way for somebody to still be helping. And these are really nice things that a lot of people in America want to have. And it's a good situation for everybody that they do that. These shoes are handmade by the Maasai tribe. If you've ever seen a picture of some Africans wearing like a bright red kind of a dress sort of thing, and then holding a spear, I can't think of what else describes them, but they're famous. We see the Maasai tribe in a lot of our literature and media, those things. And these are handmade by the Maasai tribe, and these soles are, does anyone, do you want to guess what they're made? What are these soles made from?
Tires?
Yeah, these are made from used tires. So one thing I love about their society over there is when we learn about Native Americans here, we're told that nothing went to waste. They used everything. They used all parts of the animal. Everything had a purpose. It's very similar over there. They reuse things. I mean, a rope, I don't have the rope here, I left it there, but I bought a rope that was made out of a plant that grows on the side of the road. So they use whatever they have. And another example of that is the thorn bush and the thorn tree. The thorns are like this long. And yes, I've had them get stuck in my skirt. And it's very hard to untangle yourself out of these thorns. But they'll...
Is that maybe the thorn like...
Yeah, it's similar to what the crown of thorns was that they put on the head of Jesus. But they'll take that, branches from the trees or bushes on the ground, and they'll use that to make a natural fencing around their property, which will keep out not only animals, but thieves and other things. It just makes a barrier around their property. And they just use that. It's free. All they have to do is go out and gather it and lay it down. These are all lessos. Can you say it? Lesso.
Lesso.
Lesso. The lesso is everything in Kenya, okay? Like, mostly for women, but, Pastor Theo still had his lesso that he would use whenever he would shower. He would come out with his lesso wrapped around.
Wow, that's personal. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
The lesso is everything, especially to women in Africa. This is their towel. This is their hat.
To dry off with?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It might not seem like it's good for that, but it really is. And I'll tell you, last year I took real towels from here, like real thick cotton towels over there to use. And I abandoned using them immediately because your towel is so thick it will hold water in a lot more than this will. And all you have to do is simply clothespin this to the window frame, like the bars on the window, and it will dry by the next time you need to go use it. Well, the towel is not so easily clipped up there, and I hung it over like the end of a bed, but it wasn't dry by the next time I went to use it.
Gotcha.
So this is much more practical in their society.
And it dries.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but really, it's not like, okay, let's get something else clear here.
Okay.
When we step out of the shower, we go, oh, let's get this towel on. You have a cup of water over there, okay? You're not like stepping out of the steamy bathroom and you want to bundle yourself up.
You said a cup of water?
A cup of water and a bucket of water. You have a bowl, like a basin, a plastic basin of water and a cup, and you take the cup and you pour it over yourself. So you're only wetting a portion of your body at a time anyway. It's not like here. It's not, this is all you really need.
Yeah.
So, okay, you know how Did they washing your hair? Did you actually get it wet and soapy and shampoo? Like, do you have enough water to
This is how
use
you
to
wash your
wash your
hair.
hair?
I have my hair braided when I go.
And then when you finish that, you can go like
That's what I was
this
wondering. Could I do that with my hair? Can you do that? It doesn't work.
after you wash your hair. So this is the hat. They will wrap around their head like I showed you. This is their blanket, this is their sweater. When it's a little bit cooler in the mornings or in the evening, you see them all walking around like this. And they use this to actually carry their children. They'll take their child, starting from, I asked Catherine, I think she told me 3 months old, they start training their kids to be able to do this, because this takes a lot of participation on the child's part, because they just sling the kid over, and then the kid will kind of like sit there and hold on while the mom takes this, and then she'll adjust the legs and come over the shoulder and under, and the kid is secured in there, and then tie this, and then they stand up and their child is secure on their back. And they carry items this way. If they buy something in town that's going to be a heavy load, they can wrap it up on their back as well.
So people mostly walk everywhere there, right?
Oh yes.
No
Walk
bicycles,
everywhere.
nothing.
There are bicycles, but you only see men on them because women always wear skirts there or dresses, and the bicycles are only made for men, and they're difficult to. A woman couldn't really ride it. There are motorbike taxis that if you go to town and you bought some things at the market and you're like you have the money and you don't want to walk home, you can rent a ride on a motorbike. So you have a male driver, and you'll see a lot of women on the back of the motorbike, and they'll take them out to where they live and then try to find a passenger on the way back as they come. So this lasso was actually given to me from the church in Cavetta. Not all the churches would give us gifts, but a couple of them did. And this, the saying on here in Swahili means, remember God every day. And so when you look to buy a lasso over there, it becomes a great concern to get translated what it says, because some of them can have some very odd things written on them, and some of them they're beautiful fabric, and then I would ask Esther, what does it say, and she'd tell me, and I would say, I don't want that one. So I have 4 this year. This was the first one that I bought, and this is a better material to be a towel, better than that. So I tried one of the waxier ones, and it didn't work as well. And then another thing you can do is you can actually have a seamstress sew the edges for you. All of these I got sewn edges. And that's only like 25 cents to pay them to sew the edges for you. Just because when it's a raw edge, it gets a lot of the strings and it keeps ripping off. So it's just much nicer to get it sewn. I don't remember what this one's, actually I do have it written right here. This one says, God is good. And this one says, who does not know you can't help you. See, they can be a little bit strange, but they're like little phrases. And these, what you'll notice, if you look at the bottom, look at like a bottom corner of one of them, it should say on it like Tanzania, I think, what does it say? Can you read that, Shasta?
I don't know the first one, Tanzania stuff.
Yeah, so this fabric, these all come from Tanzania, and they kind of make their way around Eastern Africa. So all of these are made in another country, and then they are imported into Kenya. And this one, that's my favorite. This is so pretty, but this one, it's that waxier material, and it doesn't work well as a towel, because you're like really cold after this gets wet. But this one says, the goodness of the poor, it says, the goodness of the poor is not famous. Okay. Oh, and I do couple more things I have here. This is the Bible in Kakamba, and I bought a few Bibles that I wanted to give away, but I really did want one for myself. And I feel a little bad keeping it because there's believers over there that would love to have a Bible in their language, but since I've already gone 2 times and I've asked Esther to, she has one here, and I've asked her to look up some scriptures for me, and I actually, I know I can read it fairly well. Last year, I just opened up and I started reading some, and the girl that was listening to me, she said, "Who taught you Kakamba?" And I said, "No one." It's phonetically similar to what we have, so it's not that hard to be able to read it. So, and I thought, it's good for people to be able to see. And this bag, I was looking for a bag like this, and we saw this exact bag but in orange when we were out in Sekoru, and we didn't know. I'd asked Esther to ask the people where they bought it because she hadn't ever seen these to be able to purchase them, and so she asked them, didn't really get a clear answer where they got it. So Miss Esther and Pastor Theo actually took a trip to Tanzania, and while they were there, she was doing some shopping and she found these bags. And she tried to call me to ask me if I wanted her to buy it and then I would pay her back. But that was actually the day that I got really, 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 really sick.
Was that this year?
Yes. And so I was actually napping, and then later on that evening I got very ill. And so she went ahead and purchased it and then had me pay her back, and it was more expensive than I ever would have paid, but she had already bought it, so I didn't really have a choice. But it is very pretty, and it is handmade. But
Why was that one more expensive, more so than the... Is it because it's lined?
Well, yeah, it has handles, it has this. I mean, you can get bags any price point, really. But I never saw one like this in Nairobi Market, but they have other bags that were not stiff, but foldable, and I probably would have gotten something like that. And this is a Coca-Cola cap that on the back side, they were running one of those contests that's, it'll say, instant winner. But this one says try again, and it says Jerry Butena. It's in Swahili. And I got this book actually with the Petrie children in mind, because I stood there in the store and I was looking at all of them, and I picked this one. Do you know what story that is about? Look at the characters. What is it, Chasta? Yeah, the turtle and the rabbit, the tortoise and the hare, and it's in Swahili. So since it's a story that we all know, you have context as you look at it that you can see what it's saying. So you guys can look at that and pass it around. Okay. Well, let's see. Do you want to...
So what?
We
You
actually
got,
have a world map.
You do? Well, I'm trying to see what I want. Yes.
you actually got stomach virus sick? Is that...
I'll tell you why I got sick. Could you find for me Europe and then Africa? Is there a large Europe and Africa in there?
Do you drink the water?
No. Hey, we don't drink the water, and we buy bottled water in Nairobi and take it out with us. But here's why I got sick. Well, last year we had been warned, if we go out to other homes, other places, do not eat or drink anything. But this year, there were 2 people who passed away during the time that I was there. And so one morning Esther said, you know, my neighbor across the street, they, you know, their 30 or 40 something year old daughter, she died, and I need to go over and do like a visitation, and it would be good if you came. So I went over to that one, and then a couple weeks later, somebody else passed away. It was actually somehow related to that same family. It was just, they just both happened to pass away near the same time, but the other gentleman was like 70 or 80, so he was much older. Well, after church, the whole church decided to go over and visit at that home, and everyone sat around, they sang songs, and they took like a collection, like to give a gift to the family. And Esther was on her trip to Tanzania at that time. So I was there sort of alone among all the church people, and they bring out all the mugs, and they set a mug in front of everybody, and they bring out the tea, and they start pouring tea, and me, being the American and the most honored visitor, they give me the most special seat in front of like everybody, the best chair there is, and there's people sitting on the floor, on the ground, and then they give me the biggest mug there is, and then they always, any mug you get, they fill it all the way to the top. And I looked at some other people. Oh, of course, I know the Kenyans are going to drink it. I mean, there's no problem for them.
Are they just immune to it or something? Like the...
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Used to.
And so I was looking, Catherine, Esther's daughter, was there. She was sitting across from me, but not to where I could speak to her. She was far away, but directly across from me. And so I was like giving her eyes like at my mug and her, and she picks hers up and she goes like this and starts drinking, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to drink this, because if I don't, it's going to be very obvious to everybody that I won't drink this beverage that they've given me. Mm-hmm. So I drank as much as I could, and then I would notice some people, they would get, you know, partway down, and then they would just take their mug and like throw the rest out. So I drank most of it, and then I kind of threw the rest out. My stomach was churning and churning. And I think because in their tea, it's like chai.
I was about to
It's
say,
like-
it could
it's
be the actual
spices,
tea. It's probably not.
They'll boil water, and then they add the spices, and then they add milk, and then they drain the spices out, and that's what you drink. Well, I'd had the milk there before. Last year, I'd have a little bit in my coffee each morning, and it was fine. But this year, the milk did not agree with me, because I had it in a couple different places, and every time I had it, it was just not good this year.
They had goat milk? Was it goat milk?
It's processed. It's in like it's a cardboard on the outside and like foil lined on the inside, and they say it's pasteurized, and it's within Kenya. I think it comes from Nairobi or some plant.
Is it cow milk or goat milk?
I think it was cow. Because I think if they'll put like a picture of a cow on the package, I didn't really pay attention, but so I think it was the milk that made me sick, and they even told me that they have like powdered milk and stuff. I mean, it could have been like anything with the milk, and I mean, it really could have just been like a dirty cup too. You know, don't really know, but by saying that the tea made me ill, it got me out of having to drink tea at any more places. Because when we would visit the churches, they would want to serve us tea as well, and then Esther was like, you know, in speaking in the language, just like, don't give her tea. And some of the pastors knew that I'd gotten really sick, and so then they would give us Coke. They would purchase bottles of Coca-Cola
How did you like
in town.
their Coke?
It's fine.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really drink it. I drink more soda over there than I do in
Really?
America. Yeah,
Is it
but
better, the best thing?
well, but then yeah, like when that's your best option, then you're more likely to drink it there. Okay, well, I guess I was told that school has already occurred today for most of you, but I prepared some questions for you as far as some school subjects. So first of all, Moesha has the maps over here. You might have to gather around. When I travel over to Kenya, I have a layover in Amsterdam. So who knows where Amsterdam is? You're going to have to get the maps and look if you don't know.
Show the European.
Look exciting.
While she's while she's doing that, I keep forgetting my other bag over here. This bag, can you tell what this is made from?
Rice bag?
Yeah, this is made from food sacks that they will get corn or grain or beans or something in. And then somebody will take these and sew them into bags. And when I was at the market one day, market day is Saturday, there was a boy, probably maybe 12, 13 years old. How old are you? 11. Almost the same age as you. And he had probably 20 of these on his body, like over this shoulder and that shoulder, and he had some in his hands. He was walking around selling them for 50 shillings, which is almost like 50 cents. So I really wanted to buy one from him because he and his family, whoever makes these, they're reusing something, turning it into something else that's useful. They're turning it into a source of income for their family because getting money over there is hard. It's very hard to do. Most people don't have jobs like we have here where your mom or dad goes to work from 8 in the morning to 5 at night. That doesn't happen a lot over there. And if it does, it's usually in bigger cities, like in Nairobi, and they'll probably work in a factory or they'll do construction or something like that. So this, and I have to tell you, this bag came in, it was very useful on my trip. A lot of things you can get in this bag. It was very handy.
So it wasn't full of rice when you bought it?
No, it was just like this. Just like this.
What do you guys?
That's what I was thinking.
No.
Really? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, one other question then. Like, so if they don't have much, if they don't really have money, do they have like taxes that they have to pay over there? I mean, like,
Well, there's probably not a property tax or something like that because this is like family land and there's no building codes, building inspectors, whatever you build on your family's land.
even the orphanage doesn't have to
Nothing.
have
The
any
government
taxes?
doesn't have a say? Nothing? Wow.
I'm not sure about that, but I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think the government has ever come and inspected the buildings. They don't get any federal money to help with those kids, so the government really does not care. I mean, those buildings could be falling down and the government is not going to intervene, really. So property taxes, not really like a death, I don't think there's like a death tax or not even, well, okay, when you buy something, a lot of times on your receipt, you'll see, what did it say exactly? When I would like buy a meal in Nairobi, it would be like an even amount, but then it would say like something about like tariff. It was like, it was included in the price, but the business would then have to pay a tax for what they're selling. Yeah. As for what other taxes are there, are you thinking that?
You're talking about
I
like
can't
a
think,
social,
like
like
sales-
we pay a state tax
Yeah.
and,
Oh,
Yeah.
income,
Yeah, like that.
income tax?
yeah.
I asked that question too, and I can't remember the answer right now.
I mean, is it different for these out places versus like the cities and stuff? Like Nairobi seems like it would be more like maybe like what we do, but
Yeah.
out there they aren't really. How do they?
I don't remember.
I mean, what kind of bills I suppose would they have? None, really.
Electric.
Just they don't have electricity.
But, well, if they do have
Some, but
electric,
not-
they do pay it.
So yeah, how would they?
They have to go, they can either postmark it, like we do here, send the bill in the mail, or go to where there's a place to pay it.
Because I mean, like around here, people go around reading meters. How do
Yeah.
they?
I believe it's flat.
Just
It's like
You have
if
electricity,
you
you
have
can use it,
if you have six light bulbs in your house, you pay a fee for that or something. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but yeah, I don't know.
how are you able to use like internet and stuff?
Everything is prepaid. That is how. If you get your electricity, you plug the computer into the wall where you're paying your electric bill, and then you get basically a modem. Like it's just like one of these. This is just a flash drive, but it's very similar to this. You buy this, then you load minutes or money or something on it, and then you plug it into your computer, and that's your
And
wireless.
you have like good connection.
Uh-huh.
We just
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have problems with that really. And then if you don't have your own computer, there are little computer shops in town where you can go and you can like pay. Well, what I was doing was Theo doesn't have a printer. So I needed to print a few documents out. So I would go to the computer shop in town and I would just tell them I just need to print, but I had to get into my email to get the document to print it. So it was like 15 shillings to print, but then they charged me like another 5 to use the internet. So it was, but I was just on and then off. And so they just kind of guess at what they charge you, I think. But there probably is a per
It
minute.
doesn't have a printer.
No.
But we sent them computers, but they don't have a printer.
No, no printer. But they can go in town and print.
but that's a
But
good
they have to pay for it, though, right?
Yeah.
and it's a good ways, isn't it?
Oh, it's not that far. A mile.
Oh, okay.
And they're going to town all the time. So
Okay, I guess when I think when
How are
you
they
say
gonna get
town,
supplies
I
to
assume
run
that
it?
you mean all the way back to Nairobi.
I mean
Where are they gonna
Bettini.
get that stuff?
Okay.
Bettini town.
They can order it online. I'm serious. I'm not being facetious. But they can order all that.
Okay, do we know where Amsterdam
I know it
is?
sounded facetious.
We know you know where Amsterdam is. Do all the other children know where Amsterdam is?
Amsterdam?
Okay, Moesha, would
We
you,
can send
I knew where it
would you
was.
show us?
You can't.
Amsterdam is here in the
So what continent? Europe. It's in Europe. So I fly from Atlanta, Georgia, to Amsterdam, and I have a layover there. So I'm usually there 4 or 6 hours or something like that. And then get on another plane and fly from there to Nairobi in Kenya.
You want to see what that
Do you
is?
drive to Georgia?
Oh.
Oh, I flew this
Nairobi,
time.
Kenya.
I was
Is
able to
right
fly.
here.
Yes. And so Kenya is a country that's on a coast of an ocean. What's the ocean that it borders? David?
The Indian Ocean.
The Indian Ocean, yes. And which countries surround Kenya? Which ones are around Kenya?
Don't let
I
it-
did
don't
have to
let it-
memorize the countries about last year. 2 years
Okay,
ago.
Moesha, tell me one.
I know one is Malawi. I don't know how to say it. Malawi.
Malawi?
Yeah.
I'm looking for Malawi. No. Laken.
Tanzania.
Tanzania, yes, that one's here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more to go.
Ethiopia, right?
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia. David?
Sudan. Sudan.
Sudan, yes. 2 more.
I thought Somalia was in South America.
Kaylin?
Not now, but
Oh.
Yes, now that your sister told you the
know how to
answer.
read? If you know how to read, then you know.
Oh. I'm not ready.
You
You don't know
Shasta?
how to read? I thought I told you how to read.
Shasta, you want to take the last 2?
I can't see.
Somalia. And everybody, the last one?
Uganda.
Uganda. Okay. Kenya is actually, the size of Kenya is just, my husband, Professor Nathan, said, if I remember correctly, he had said it was like slightly smaller than Texas, the size of Texas.
Oh, really?
really?
That's what, I can verify with
Let's talk
him,
about
but
South, South Carolina.
yeah. So it's bigger than it seems. Okay.
What is?
Wow.
Kenya.
Kenya.
Texas.
The size of Kenya is about the size of
Oh,
Texas.
that's good.
I'm okay. I thought it'd be big.
Yeah. And so Kenya has a colonial past, which means that another country came there to colonize it. And what country was that? Shasta?
England.
England, yes. And so the government, even though Kenya is now independent from Great Britain, the government is run like the government is in Britain with Parliament and the different houses that they have. So Kenya won their independence from England on December 12th, 1963. So how many years has it been independent? I have pencils because you're going to be doing some math. Do you know how many years?
49.
Is that right?
Yeah.
49.
How long have I been going?
Yeah. Good job, Jaden. 49 years.
I knew she said
One of the things that what the English were doing when they came there was they were working on building a railroad between Kenya and Uganda in the late 1890s. And have you ever heard, there's a movie, it's not a movie any of you would have seen, but maybe the moms have seen or heard of, The Ghost in the Darkness. I love that story. It's a movie, it came out in like 1996.
It's a tiger movie, isn't it?
Yes. That is a true story, and it was a British guy who went there, Colonel John Patterson, to work on the railroad, and he wrote the book of his account called The Man-Eaters of Tsavo, and it's a true story, and that happened in Kenya. And I have loved that movie and that whole story. I've checked the book out, and then I got to go to Kenya. So no, he didn't get eaten.
Okay.
No.
He did.
I know it has something to do with a lion,
Yeah.
and somebody got ate.
Well, I would say for the older, like Lakin, you should read that book. Not the younger kids.
I don't know.
I should look at it.
She's not mature enough yet.
So
Well, she said my name.
So when you are going to go to Kenya or most other countries, you need to have your passport and you have to buy a visa. And I brought my passport to show you my sticker from last year and from this year, because I think they're kind of neat to look at and it's colorful and pretty. And do you know how much, take a guess, what do you think it cost me to enter into the country of Kenya? How much did I pay to do that?
Without the passport?
Right. For just the visa?
How much did my visa cost?
Mine was free when I went to different countries, so I don't know.
$10? No, more.
Oh, wow.
$200.
Not 200, lower.
About 20.
More than 20.
150.
David?
100.
Lower than 100.
75.
Lower than 75.
50.
50?
50. Cost $50 just to go into the country. Now here's another question. Here you
It's
can.
free for us.
Now hold on. A visa, you have to
I don't
every
have
time you go there.
passport.
You have to get a visa every time you go, right?
Every time you do,
Passport.
can I borrow this back? Let me read to you what this says. This says, the $50 that I paid to go to Kenya, it says, registration required for stay exceeding 90 days and employment prohibited. So I cannot work in Kenya on this visa, and I cannot stay more than 3 months, basically.
The longer you stay is the more money?
Yes, and
Okay.
you need a special work permit to work there. And I actually was inquiring about what, maybe getting a job there or my husband getting a job there, and I was told by a reputable source, it was an American, but she married a Kenyan and they've been there for many, many years now. She said that this year the requirements changed, and for somebody to get a work visa to come over, you have to be at least 35. You have to pay, it was something like almost $500 for the work permit, and you have to make 2,000 shillings a month, which is like $3,000. So there's no way, and they're doing that, they passed this so that their younger people, if they're just coming out of college, their younger generation can get jobs and get established.
Instead
But
of somebody else coming in and getting
But it's really pushing, foreigners they're not really going to be able to
So, okay, for
do that.
example, let's say that, what's his name, RG? If he married somebody over here, he wouldn't be able to take them over there?
Yeah, he's a
No, they can
citizen.
go over there.
He's still a citizen.
No,
And-
not him, but the wife.
It's on
Well-
it.
Oh, it would be?
Well, no, because this woman is an American and
Yeah.
she married a Kenyan, and she's not eligible because her salary requirement
But she's
doesn't match.
able to stay over there, though.
She can
all the
stay
time.
there,
Yeah.
but
Not
she
work.
can't qualify for that work permit.
Uh-oh.
But because she's been over there so long, one of the options is to apply for dual citizenship, and their children are going to be doing that too, so that they can go between and not have to worry about those requirements. So I paid $50 to go into the country of Kenya. What if I wanted to go into Tanzania? What do you think would happen?
Have to pay another $50.
Why? Why would I have to pay to go to Tanzania? Why would I have to pay to go to Uganda? Why would I have to pay to go to any of these other countries? Yes, but why? Why do I have to pay to go to these other countries? Lakin?
Because they're different countries.
They're different countries. See, this is something that even as an adult is a little bit hard for me to get through my head, so I wanted to point this out to you. Do you have an American map?
You need a map of the United States?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
An American map.
We've got all American maps.
That'll work. This'll work. Hey, be nice.
I was trying to mess her up.
Okay, so
They probably were all named in
if
China.
you're in Kansas and you want to go to Nebraska, do you pay a fee?
Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just kidding.
There's toll roads.
Okay.
Yes, there are toll roads for
In the
real.
same
No.
You are exactly right.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's all the same country.
So we can travel from state to state because this is all the United States of America, and we don't pay a fee to go cross over a border. But in Africa, these are all independent countries, which means you can't travel freely.
Okay,
So
hold on. Do you have to pay a visa to go to Canada?
I don't think so.
I know
And you don't
a
have to for
passport,
Mexico either.
but
We
not a visa.
we have
You don't
an
have to
agreement
connect
though.
to it.
Over
They don't
there,
have any
they
agreement of any sort.
yeah, there are. I
They
think
might have an
there.
agreement between the countries they border, but
Yeah.
you have to be a Kenyan in order to be able to receive those benefits.
Exactly.
Someone from Kenya can't come to America and decide, hey, what the heck, I'll
Oh,
just
go
go
to
to
Canada.
Canada.
Yeah.
You have to have permission to go into Canada just like you had to have permission to come into our country.
Exactly.
Preach it.
And yes, I do think there are some neighboring country agreements. I don't think Esther and Theo paid to go to Tanzania, but I would have to, and we all would have to. Okay,
So what about, oh, never mind.
go ahead.
I wonder how much it would cost for you to go to Saudi and all those. I wonder how much, is it the same pricing everywhere? Is it $50 everywhere?
The cost
Every
for
country
visa
is different.
universal, or
No, every
Varies.
country is different, and they can vary their price as well, because at one point before I went the first time, the visa was actually only $25 because they were encouraging tourism and wanting more people to come into their country, so they lowered the cost.
Mm-hmm.
But then it went up again before I went. So they have their money that they use are shillings, which is like it was inspired by the British. So I'll have some questions later about some shilling questions. But one thing that they are taught in school, in their public schools, is CRE. And it stands for Christian Religious Education, because Kenya is technically a Christian nation. And so in their public schools, they are taught this Christian religious education, and they have textbooks that are about Christianity. But when I sat in on one of the classes of Christian religious education for, I think it was something like 10th graders or 11th graders, that day it was talking about the morality of Jesus. And I was just a little bit sad because I felt like, what if in this Christian religious education they never really tell people what Jesus said about how to go to heaven and how he's the only way? I don't know. I don't know if they teach that or not, but the day I was there, nothing was said like that. So it was more a study of Jesus and a study of Christianity, but I'm not sure if they ever really...
It's still more than what the United States
True,
does. At least
true.
they mention the name Jesus.
But there really is a corruption problem over there, so I'm
course.
not really sure.
Of course.
You know, the morality without Jesus is still different.
Yeah.
Morality with Jesus is what makes all the difference.
That's right.
So, the population is 43 million people in Kenya, and I can talk to you more about their way of life later in some questions. I want to get through some more of these things. So their national language is Swahili. So many people there, they speak a mother tongue, whatever in the area that they grew up, the tribe that they're within, they speak that language. Then they learn Swahili in school, and then they also learn English because their education system is actually done by high school. It's done entirely in English. Their textbooks somewhat come from England. Some they're produced there in Kenya, but some of their resources actually come from England. So they all have to learn English so that they can do chemistry and biology and all those things. Their president right now is President Kibaki, and they are going to be having an election coming up. I can't remember exactly when, but the newspapers were starting to have articles about the succession that would be taking place. And one thing that I was told by some people was that there are so many political parties in Kenya, it makes it very difficult when power switches. Because in our country, how many main political parties do we have? Two, yeah, and independent. We have Republicans, Democrats, and independents, and those are, and independent has never been voted in, so really we have two for president.
This year.
So it makes it difficult when power switches because there are so many different philosophies that it's very strange when power shifts there. And that causes a lot of problems because I know they've had rioting and things in the
I was
past.
about to ask you, is it a lot of fighting?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how often do they switch? Every 4 years?
I don't remember. I don't remember. Sorry. I can probably find out, though, and we can always ask Esther. When I was there, I wanted to go to the public schools, but the teachers were on strike. And there was a big strike going on because the government, back in 1997, the teachers had gone on strike and the government had agreed to what they wanted. They wanted a housing allowance, a travel allowance, a commute allowance, and a few other, and like an increase in pay. And the government said, yeah, fine, we'll do it. And 15 years later has never done what they said they would do. So the teachers have finally had enough, and they said, I think they gave the government a deadline. You don't do what you said you were going to do 15 years ago, or not coming to work. And so they were on strike. And I don't know how the end of it worked out, but the government, what I was reading newspaper articles and hearing stories on the news, they were saying what they wanted is not feasible for the government to do. They don't have the money to pay these people this. But they never should have agreed to it in the first place. They only did it just to make the problem go away. So crazy. It's a little bit crazy there. And some of the kids asked me, I went to a private school because they were still in session, and the kids asked me, do you have strikes in America? And I said, yeah, because it's very common for them over there. And another thing that they asked me, they were asking me about the diet that we eat here. And when I was talking to them about our food groups, and I mentioned dairy, cheese and milk and yogurt, and then somebody else raised their hand and said, what is cheese?
Hilarious.
So why do they not know what cheese is? Lakin, you know all of this. This is really for the little kids. Shasta?
Is it allergic to milk?
That could be. Why else do they not have yogurt and cheese and fresh milk? Let's have Autumn. What's your guess, Autumn?
They don't grow it there?
Well, sort of, but they do have cows and goats that can produce milk. So they do have milk, but Shasta?
They can keep it cold.
Yes, refrigeration, right? They barely have electricity. They don't have refrigerators. So they
Most of
can't.
their milk is powdered?
It's a powder, or it's the pasteurized, preserved, and then once you open it, you have to drink that within like a day, or because you can't keep it. You can't
Oh,
save
kind of
it.
like you get like almond milk or whatever
Yeah.
that's not cold
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, it's like that.
And they got them in small packages.
Yeah, it's a box. It's like a cardboard box. Well, but it's thin. It's not like a thick box, but it's a thin little package like this that's cardboard, and then it's foil lined on the inside. And then they don't really have scissors either, so you have to be able to like tear the package open or use a knife. They have like big knives they use for everything. Somebody else have a yes?
The military, do they like have like people like, can they like join like
Do they have a military? That
Yeah,
understand like
they
the
do.
US does?
I don't know much about their military, but I would occasionally see some soldiers with some machine guns like strapped to their backs, and I would stay as far away from them as possible and not draw attention to myself, because I don't want to have a problem with a soldier and end up in jail in Kenya. You know, I want to like stay far, far away from any potential problem, and even police officers, because there's a corruption problem over there. And the traffic officers are different from like regular police. They have all these different like segments. And the traffic officers will randomly stop vehicles and then find, you know, whether there's really something that you're breaking the law about or they're making it up. They just want you to pay them a bribe and then you can be on your way. And this happens a lot. Happens all the time over there.
So kind of like Mexico.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So their food over there is really similar to what is found. Some of the things that they eat is very similar to what you see in India with Indian food. Why do you think their food is like Indian food? I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. I didn't tell you straight out, but do you know, Lakin?
No. I don't.
What happened in the 1890s when the British were there? What were they doing?
Oh.
Do you remember? What? They came to govern, yes, but what were they building?
Slave trade? No.
Oh, did you say railroads?
Yeah, they were working on building a railroad, and they got a lot of people from India to come over and work to build the railroad. And I really believe that those people that came over to work influenced the food that they have there in Kenya. There's a lot of food that's very similar to Indian food. And Esther and Pastor Theo are from the Kamba tribe, and that's the second largest tribe of people within Kenya, and the largest tribe is the Kikuyu tribe. Now let me ask you something. We said Swahili was a national language. Now Esther and Theo, they speak Kikamba. Well, so Esther and Theo's children, what language do they speak? Esther and Theo speak Kikamba. What language do they speak? Kikamba. Okay.
Is that a trick question?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting there. We're gonna have a progression here.
So I didn't know.
So Esther and Theo's children speak Kikamba. Their children have gone out into other places in the world, and their daughter Catherine, she moved to Nairobi, and she met a man who she ended up marrying, and he is from the Luyo tribe. So Catherine speaks Kikamba, and her husband speaks Kiluyo. How do they communicate?
By Swahili.
Swahili and English. A husband and a wife speak different mother languages. They're inborn, the language they spoke from the time they were born. So to communicate, they are communicating in a second language, or even a third, Swahili and English. Now, it gets even better here, people. They have a son. How does he talk to his mom? How does he talk to his dad? And how does he talk to his grandparents on both sides?
I would think Swahili.
David?
Swahili.
Yeah.
All he can communicate with his mom and his dad are Swahili and English, and his grandparents. He does not know Kikamba. He does not know Kiluyo. And then his grandparents on both of those sides, he can only speak Swahili and English to them.
So everybody learns Swahili.
Yes,
It's
it's
just
a
a
national language. It will always be taught in school.
So what tribe would he be considered?
I don't know. I think it tends to follow the father, I think, but really he's the son of Aluyo and the son of Akamba. So
Wow.
very interesting, isn't it? We don't have anything like this in this
So does he
country.
never learn either of their tribal languages because it's unnecessary?
He can, but we're talking, he's going to be known for, he'll only ever know them somewhat, is what I think. When he goes out, he actually spent almost a month out with us in Batini, where they only speak Kikamba, and he plays with the orphans, and they speak Kikamba, and so he kind of communicates with them.
Do English?
Well, they learn it in school. So the younger ones are more the native language, and as they get older in school, then they've learned it. But
So he will never have his own language like his mom and dad. So basically, if they kept intermixing marriages, they're
All
going to
the
lose
native
all
languages are
that.
going to go out.
Oh.
Unless, now Esther and Theo are both Kamba. And she has commented to me how special it was for, that God provided her a great husband within her own tribe. Because they speak the same language, they have similar customs, whereas her daughter married from another tribe from the other side of the country,
And her son.
and they don't even speak the same language
Wow.
natively.
Now, is that common that they would marry whoever, or does the tribe play heavily into who you marry?
It's common now.
More than that, yeah.
We're more progressive than any time in history, so, and the ability to travel more and get to another place where you would meet somebody of another tribe, it's more common. I don't think that there's family negativity, like you can't marry a Luyo.
Like
I don't think
prejudice,
that, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of that. However, I do think that there are some specific tribes that have a long-standing history of not getting
Enemies.
along, and then that's probably going to be a little bit more difficult. But especially if they're Christian and it's been hundreds of years since whatever difficulties there may have been, a lot of that is disappearing.
Do they have a lot of Muslim influence over there?
There is a lot of Islam, but
Because I was.
it's mostly in Mombasa. The trouble that was going on over there is in Mombasa, and there are a lot of Muslims in Nairobi as well. In fact, one of the hotels I was in, I randomly saw outside the window, there was a mosque like 2 blocks from where I was. I mean, I saw the rounded roof. I never went over to it, but, and then even in Kitui is an hour car ride from where Bettini is, where Esther and the orphanage are. And in Kitui, I would walk around, I'd see the women in the full cover, and
Burqa.
some of the men you could tell are Muslim. But in Bettini, not a single one. There's not a Muslim out there. So if they're in the country, they're in the
Bigger
more
cities.
populated areas. But it's a Christian nation, and then but it's trying to accommodate Islam, and so
Which is
I've
almost what America's
questioned.
trying to do.
Yeah, I've questioned how the country's going to go, because if they want to hold to Christian principles, that's going to of course conflict with some Islam things that want to occur. So especially with all the violence, and so. Okay, so my last few questions. Does anyone know the time?
5 after 5.
Okay. This will only be maybe like 10 more minutes. I have some questions that are math related, so you all have paper and a pencil. So my plane ticket over there was $1,500. And almost half, now that was this time, because last year it was even more, but almost half of that was just taxes. So how much did my ticket, not counting the taxes, cost if it was half of $1,500? Not for Lakin. No one over 12 can answer this. Half of $1,500. There's a lot of ways you can figure it out.
Really? And you're writing it down because you're trying to figure it out. For real?
Seriously?
Seriously? Really?
Work it out with a pencil and paper. You need to work that out with a pencil and paper.
I don't know who the teacher is. But she can go
I
back.
think it's Miss Mashika.
Ah,
Autumn, honey.
50% of it? No, really?
Autumn. You know how to
She
write
was using
pencil and
her
paper?
side of the brain. Just
I
so
guess
you know.
so.
Because I
So what's half of it? Come here.
Are you? Oh yeah, are you?
You got it.
Do you know the answer? Because I'm really concerned. Because you wrote it down. Or
get
did
it?
you
No, I
think
I
it?
just wrote 15 down then.
Oh, okay. Good.
I thought she was, well, yeah.
1,500.
I actually understood what she meant, even though she said 15,000.
1,000.
That's what's scary.
Too many zeros.
That's really scary on my part.
Why did you make 12?
Just the period.
Is that good looking? No, on the ice.
Did you get it, David? No? You still working?
500.
She said
15,000.
No, but you're,
Oh, it's
I think you
4,000.
might
How old
be
are you?
on the right track.
I did it, but I think it wasn't one.
How much did you say it was? What?
No, I didn't say it wasn't thing.
Oh, what's this?
I'm not even ready to
So let me, while they're still working on this problem, let me ask you something about the exchange rate. When we get to Nairobi, we have to exchange our dollars into shillings. And the way they write that is a capital K and then SH period is Kenya shillings. So do you think you get a better exchange rate in a bigger city or a smaller city? And why? Moesha?
I think bigger.
Bigger. And why?
Because in the smaller cities they need more, so they want more. But in the bigger cities, it's like they don't really need it because they already have, so there's more.
Yeah, I was reading between the lines of what you were saying, and yes, the difficulty with
Out of my face.
exchanging in a smaller city is that they have to have transportation of the money to and from a larger city. So I didn't realize this, and I exchanged some of my money in Nairobi, and I waited because the exchange rate was kind of low. And so my hope was that by a couple weeks passing, it would be higher and I would get a better rate.
Or it
But-
changes like all the time, like
It does, changes
Yes.
daily. And so I saved some of my money waiting to hope it was going to go up, and it didn't go up. And then by the time I exchanged it, I wasn't near Nairobi. I could only exchange it in Kitui, not in Batini. Had to travel an hour to Kitui, and then I got a lower rate.
What is it to a dollar?
We're getting there.
Oh.
I'm going to have them do...
Well, you started it. I was just one.
Yes.
750.
Yes, good job. So half of my... Half of what I paid for my plane fare over to Kenya was just in taxes. It was a $750 ticket and $750 in taxes.
Why?
So even if you have like bonus miles or something like that where you get a free ticket,
Oh, you still have to pay
I still would have paid $750 in taxes.
What?
It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
night.
All right. Did you get it, Autumn?
Now,
Can
was
we
it just
can we
because-
move on and then we'll work on it after? Okay. It's okay, sweetie.
No,
It's
she knows place value.
okay. Oh, sorry. I didn't
It's
want to
really
cause a
quite
problem.
ridiculous.
Here, well, hold on. What about last year? Was that about what your ticket was last year too?
Last year I paid a whole lot more
Because it was last minute.
because it was last minute. Yeah.
Okay, so is that tax just because overseas, or is it because where you went? That's crazy.
It's like an
Yeah.
international ticket. It's just the way it is. Yeah. Okay, so okay, let me tell you two exchange rates, and this will be good for the older ones now. Now we're getting to some more difficult math. Okay. There's two exchange rates. One was my exchange rate last year, one was my exchange rate this year. You have to tell me which was better. One of my exchange rates was 91.7. And one of my exchange rates was 83.2. Write them down and I'll explain it. 91.7 and then 83.2. Now, that's for $1. So if $1 got me 91.7 shillings or $1 got me 83.2 shillings, which is the better exchange rate?
91.7.
Yes.
Okay, did you really say that?
I kind of gave it away when I was posing the
Yeah.
question. If I had worded it differently, then okay. So now you're going to have to do some conversion. So the lesos, I have what I paid for each leso. On this one. The blue and gold one was given to me, so I don't have how much that one cost. The purple and orange one was 150 shillings. 150 shillings, Kenya shillings. How much is that in dollars?
$1.50.
Well, you have to convert it. It's not exactly. It would be $1.50 if the exchange rate was
Exactly.
1 to 1.
100,
Okay.
but it's not. So the exchange rate I got this year was the 83.2. So use that exchange rate, and if it was 150 shillings, what was that in dollars?
So you're gonna do
More
like
gold that backs their money. Wouldn't it be more?
so 83.2.
Seriously.
You have to do a
Motion.
portion.
Motion. It's 83 point whatever it is.
How is this for
So
practical
$1.
math, applying it to life? Right?
Yeah.
But
It's
listen,
like a lot of good. Because when, if
Well,
you,
they use the metric
it was
system too,
100.
like,
What
They
was
do.
it? How much was the star?
150.
150. It's 83 point. What is it?
But if you go over there,
2. That's for $1.
if you
of
go
American
over
money.
there, these are the things you're going to have
She
to do.
spent a
You're going to have to
total
do
of
this conversion math
150
all the time.
of their money.
Yeah.
How much is it in our money?
No.
Was it 12.48?
Okay, so
No.
the 83.2 equals $1 in
$124.
No.
payments.
Is it $1.24
$1.24.
or $1.25?
Yeah.
You didn't put your decimal point in the right spot.
Yeah, no, I did it wrong.
Would you like a calculator?
No.
We don't use calculators.
Do you understand what she's asking you?
Is
No.
it like $1?
So how do you do the math? You do,
We need to work
you
on
would
this.
do
Listen to
150
Listen.
divided by
Divide.
83.2. And you get $1.80. $1.80.
It's just a multiply.
What did you say?
Wait, you said 82. You said 83.2 and make 150, right? Well then.
It's 150 divided by 83.2, and it's $1.80. Because
I did it differently.
it will be more. Let's think about it. If it's 150, if it was 100 was the exchange rate, it would be $1.50. But we're actually getting less for our dollar, so that's going to make it more than $1.50.
So I missed the start of that secondary conversation with Autumn.
What do you want me to say?
What is the exchange rate?
Last year it was 91.7 and this year it was 83.2. So last year I got a much better rate. So I have an assignment for all of you guys actually. So Esther, I kept saying to her, Esther, like we should buy a lot of stuff like supplies for the orphanage when the exchange rate is much better, so we'll get more for our dollar. And she said, well, it goes up and down all the time and I don't always know what it is. And so she was like, she told me, you can go into a bank and you can ask, you can just go anywhere and ask, what's the exchange rate to the Kenya shilling right now? And they can tell you. So if you guys want to go to banks and ask or call and find out, if it ever is like 100 or more than 100, you should let Esther and I know so we can work on buying stuff at that time, because we'll get, our dollar will go further, we'll get more for our money. And another thing that's math related is they are 7 hours ahead of us in Kenya. So right now it's 5:11
now.
5:11. So what time is it in Kenya right now?
You said they're 5 hours ahead.
They're 7 hours ahead of us.
Midnight.
Yeah. It's just after midnight. And here's another one for you. Pastor Theo is 70 years old. How old was he when Kenya gained their independence from Britain? He is 70 years old.
21.
So you have to know what year.
Yeah.
What year did they gain their independence? Who remembers?
He's 2
Like
years older than my
in
dad. He's 2 years older than my dad.
Yes, 1963. And if he's 70 right now, what year was he born?
My dad is 6. 19.
Autumn, I have a math problem that you can do.
Oops. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, you have what? What?
So this better be good.
Why?
Because if I have to do math with her again today, I'm not going to be friends with anybody anymore.
Okay, Autumn. You have 50 shillings. Okay, you have 50 shillings.
Going on 2 lessons.
Tell me how many things you can buy. You'll have to write down, I have what ingredients and how much they cost, and you can tell me how many of each you can buy with your 50 shillings. Do you have a pencil and paper?
Do you want another piece of paper?
Okay, you have 50 shillings. An avocado is 10 shillings.
She's gonna write them off. I'm gonna write down the things and then you can do
Yeah. An avocado is 10 shillings. 5 tomatoes are 20 shillings.
So 20 for all 5.
Cilantro is 10 shillings. Avocado's 10. 5 tomatoes for 20 shillings. And I'm not making these up. This is really what they cost. Those are really good prices over there.
5 of them, it's 20.
Cilantro are 10 shillings. 3 potatoes for 15 shillings. 4 onions for 10 shillings.
10, 20, 10, 15, 10.
10, 20, 10, 15,
Yes.
10, yeah. Okay, so if you want to make kachumbari for lunch, you need tomato, avocado, onion, and cilantro. So how much of those things can you buy with your 50 shillings to make lunch?
Say the ingredients again.
Avocado, cilantro, onion, and tomato. And it's very good. I would eat this. No, it's just like a tomato, avocado, onion salad without dressing either. It's really good.
Okay, I did not name what you said.
But I want to.
What's missing? The lemon juice?
50 shillings.
Yeah, what's missing? It's just lemon juice. And
They
maybe an
don't
onion.
have lemon juice.
No, I'm just saying for guacamole. I'm
To
talking
mash
about
it all
guacamole.
up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is real life math. Because I really gave somebody 50 shillings to go make kachumbari. Like these are things that I did when I was over there.
Okay,
Wow.
what did you
Can you
say?
like half?
If everybody needs to know that
Is
math
vegetables,
applies,
are vegetables more expensive over there because there's less supply?
avocados are 10 shillings. You
What?
tell
That's
me.
like
But the onions, albeit the onions are very small because they're not like genetically grown. So they're
Yeah.
not like onions on steroids, they're like this big.
Wow.
How much was the cilantro?
10.
We have more supply.
Yeah, and cilantro's
Oh, we
10.
did more.
And then how much is the onion?
Yeah, but instead of the price of the food going down whenever farmers have a good thing,
Onions,
our
10.
government pays
Onions,
them
10.
to trash
And then what was
it
15?
so that we can keep our. Come on, please tell me more
potatoes.
about this.
I didn't know about this.
Okay, now that's the recipe.
Oh, you don't need
Government
potatoes.
pays them
But I
to
just,
either
oh,
destroy
that was
the crop
extra information I gave you in your storybook.
so that
Sorry,
the,
here you go.
we can keep the price the same. They don't want you to.
You were counting the potatoes?
I'm thinking,
That's crazy.
Oh, I tricked you.
but you did.
Yeah.
You didn't need the potato information in there, so that was extra information in the story problem that you needed to eliminate.
I was thinking.
I'm still over this.
Can
That's
I just
amazing.
Can I just
What
get
was
a second on
the
that?
question?
What do you, huh?
Was the actual question now?
How, what you're trying to make this for lunch,
No, we
so
talked
how
about
much
it.
of each thing can you buy with your 50 shillings?
I can get. I'll just go avocado.
So we need to go into farming.
No thanks.
No.
So 10 and 20
Pasture
and
is a huge
10
problem.
and
What's
10, and that's 50. All
Hey,
right,
this summer.
so
Here,
Jaden
now
says
this
one of
is
each.
Oh. he's on
What are
it.
these?
It was worse last year.
You can get a tomato
Without the
And
potatoes.
without all the price is already
Okay, was
started going up.
potatoes
You can't buy
15?
popcorn.
No matter.
You don't need the
I
potatoes.
know, I wrote the wrong thing out. So it's not.
Mom, I have to go babysit.
Yeah, we're done. So, but did you get it, Autumn? No?
It's an interesting day.
Okay. Well,
Not
thank
a
you.
day to do school twice.
Thank you all for coming and listening. For those students who did attend, who were invited to this. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Do you have any questions?
Did you
Oh, I
see the
wasn't.
dreads?
What?
Did you see the dreads?
Just my
Oh, Mashika started them.
She just started with.
I also had another math problem about the dress because I had this made and I bought all the supplies for it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
I like it.
About how much that costs.
Well, I can give you the answer. I can make them figure it out. But you have
Give
to
me the
go.
answer.
This dress cost me $15.24 to make.
Ah.
Oh, and with your head thing too?
And the golden dress, the other one that's in my other video when I presented, it's a top and two skirts, two separate skirts. And that one was a total of $29.47.
So they have a material place and you went and picked up the material and...
And then I had two different seamstresses
missed that.
make them
I missed that.
so that they could get money income.
Oh, did you do that in Turkey?
Yes, we have all of our clothes tailor made. We didn't ever buy store bought clothes.
All right, what did you figure it out?
Yeah.
50? Okay.
She's right.
She got it right.
She's right.
I just added all of it.
Yes, we're aware. We're good. Thank you.
Good job.
So any other questions?
You're twisting my glasses, Mom. You already
So
twisted
Terry's on his way
my
home, so he's gonna
glasses.
pick us up.
You don't need another gift.
Baby, you need the dress.
Gas. What is gas over
Do
there?
you want to?
Yes, what is